Okay. Ah, very quick reaction lang dito sa ano. So, ibig sabihin, shortcut natin. Hindi natin, kasi napanood naman natin lahat yan eh. Ah, as in, very, very quick lang. Alright? Start natin. Okay.
For the affirmative, Attorney Libayan?
Okay. Doon pa lang, ewan ko kung may delay doon sa live. I'm not sure. Or lutang talaga. I mean, bakit matagal yung respond? Okay, sige.
Yes, hello.
Okay.
Dito pa lang kita mo na nakatingin na siya doon. Ano mo yung tense? Nakatingin siya doon sa, we call it kodigo. Tingnan mo. Instead na doon sa ano, sa screen o kaya sa camera.
Okay. For your opening speech,
Tingin
are
ulit.
you ready now?
Ayan.
We will
Yes, I am
show the timer.
Yes, I'm ready. Patawa. But ramdam mo yung tense talaga. Oh, ba't ang tagal sumagot?
Okay,
Yes,
timer. Wait lang po. Timer. 15 minutes.
15 minutes. Okay?
Okay? Okay. Nakita naman ni Attorney Libayan yung timer? Parang hindi ko Ayan na. Okay.
Ayan na.
Attorney Libayan, gentleman for the affirmative, your timer starts now.
All right. Thank you very much. And before I start, gusto ko muna pong batiin syempre yung ating mga adjudicators. Like I said, I am extremely humbled. And also Fiscal EJ, thank you very much for this opportunity. And to the hosts, Attorney Claire as moderator, thank you very much din po. Now, so I will start. And it's just
Nag-start na eh.
fitting, I guess, that we start how actually people thought that age of sexual consent is 16 or before it was 12. Ang nangyari ho dyan is there was poisoning of the well. In relation to media and all other sources, they are
Kabado
showing and please allow
Well,
me
it's
to
normal.
screen share.
Talagang
They are
kabahan ka
showing
talaga kasi ano
that
eh.
the age of sexual consent was raised from
Nawawala. Oh,
12 to 16. So
Okay,
if
Google.
you can see your screen,
Google.
if a simple search of the age of sexual consent in the Philippines, you will see that it's 16. And if you scroll down, everything you will see here says the age of sexual consent was raised to 16. The age of sexual consent was raised from 12 to 16. Philippine raises age of sexual consent from 12 to 16 when in fact that is not true. Why? Because
Grabe no? Kinontra yung nasa Google. Okay lang sana kung yung nasa Google na yan, isa lang dyan yung 16. Pero halos lahat nung link na yan or website, kita natin 16, 16, 16. Tapos sabihin niya not true. Diba? I mean, gaano ka pangahas para kontrahin yung nakikita mong impormasyon sa Google. Okay? I mean, nakita mo naman eh, majority of those are 16. Pero sabi niya not true. Tignan natin na.
we have prevailing
Ayon sa kanya,
jurisprudence, and I will
ay hindi 16.
show that to everyone later. That is the basis. That's our basis. Yung po dapat yung maging basehan natin. Batas, case law. Hindi po yung mga balita kung saan sila ay nagre-rely sa maling batas.
Wow.
Ito po kasing paglabas po nung bill na pinirmahan ni Pangulong
Oh, so question yung media, mainstream media.
Rodrigo Duterte, it does not actually talk about the age of sexual consent. It
Pati daw yung kay PRRD, hindi daw age ang pinag-uusapan, kundi
is
ano,
actually about statutory rape.
No, statutory
And
rape
if you
lang
will
daw.
allow me to present once again, ito
Oh.
po yan.
So, ang pinagbabasehan niya, yung sarili niyang ginawa sa, ano ba yan? Microsoft presentation. Yan yung pinagbabasehan niya. Walang sinabi, walang kwenta yung sa Google. Magaling, magaling.
The age of sexual consent is
Okay.
still 18.
Mahaba kasi ito eh, no?
Okay? Why?
Mahaba.
Ito po, no?
In short, binasa niya lahat yan. Ewan ko kung saan ang pinanghuhugutan niya dyan. Ngayon, base dito sa ano, okay, hinaan ko lang Ayan, ayan. Base dito sa kanyang salita na ito, or sa kanyang 15 minutes na part o introduction or introductory. Mahaba yan 15 minutes na ang pinagbabasehan niya ay yung sarili niyang gawa sa presentation, which is syempre okay, let's give that to him kung saan niya nakuha yan kasi uh, kumbaga yan yung part niya, introductory niya, dito masasabi ko na parang alam na alam niya yung sinasabi niya. Kasi kumbaga prepared speech mo na to So prepared content, prepared material mo to. So from the standpoint of viewers, they would think and they would believe na alam niya yung kanyang sinasabi. Kasi prepared na niya ito Kumbaga, parang tayo din, halimbawa, parang teacher din, di ba? Bago magturo ang guro, ay nire-research niya yung kanyang ituturo, titignan yung mga errors, yung kung ano yung mistakes, itatama niya bago niya i-present sa kanyang klase. So, all of those are well prepared and well handled, kumbaga, by him alone. So, I will give this round particular sa kanya. Kasi siya naman yan Kumbaga, halimbawa, sa laban, example, sa boxing, round 1, ibigay mo na sa kanya kasi nakita mo naman talaga siya yung bigay ng bigay So, siya yung bumibigay. Yung kalaban, naka-standby lang. Okay? Baga, stationary, kumbaga. So, round 1, kay Atty. Libayan. Pero, yung next round, which is yung question and answer portion, pakinggan natin.
The immateriality of consent because it raised
Okay?
the age
Ito, makikita naman natin.
wherein a person will be liable for
Although sinabi ko na sa kanya ito pero makikita mo yung pagbasa niya, mali-mali,
statutory
parang
rape
nag-i-stutter,
and
parang
statutory
hindi
acts
nababasa
of
ng maayos.
lasciviousness.
Pero
Okay,
we
so
still give this
now
to
that
him
we know
kasi
what
prepared
happened here,
material niya to.
let's move on.
Ngayon, punta tayo doon
18
sa
is the age of sexual
cross-examination ni
versus
Piskal EJ.
GR number 16473.
Okay, puntahan natin
it was decided on September 21, 2007.
Ano yun?
Oh, the Supreme Court also said clearly, AAA,
Sana yun?
Answered yes, sir.
Ito na,
I heard it.
Ito na. Wait.
Division, the third
Important
division.
Important
Now.
ito. Yan. Ito.
Okay po.
Very important.
Third division, correct, is the 2000
Okay.
Lagay lang po natin yung timer para po may guide.
Okay po.
Your timer starts now, sir.
My first question is, the 2000 Udang case was decided by the third division, correct?
Okay? Let us take note yung time span ng question and then the answer. Kasi doon tayo babase kung ikaw talaga ay maalam, well-versed ka, doon sa gusto mong i-defend na stand. Okay? Continue natin. Nagtanong siya, right? Sabi niya.
well,
Yes or no
actually,
only?
I'm not familiar if if it's the third division, I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
But
So hindi siya familiar, hindi siya quite sure. Senyales na yon na talagang hindi niya alam ang kanyang stand. Hindi niya naiintindihan ng lubos. Kumbaga, yung well-prepared speech niya na yun or material niya na yun, hanggang doon lang. Example, meron tayong Rubik's Cube, di ba? Meron tayong Rubik's Cube. Ikaw yung nag-jumble or ikaw yung naggulo noong Rubik's Cube. Pero sinundan mo kung paano mo siya ginulo. So, alam mo kung paano ibalik kasi sinundan mo eh. Pero once na ibigay mo yan sa ibang tao, tapos siya yung naggulo, ibalik mo sa kanya, hindi na niya alam kung paano niya ibabalik. Continue.
Let me
it's the
proceed
third
to my next
division.
question. Okay.
Alam niya hindi siya sure, kaya nag-proceed na siya. It's up to the judges na. Na magbigay ng grado doon sa sagot ni Attorney Libayan. Wag na lang Attorney Libayan kasi vlogger na lang. Doon kay vlogger at saka kay Piskal.
Okay.
You are not aware that the 2019 Tulagan case was decided by the Supreme Court en banc.
You are not aware the 2019 Tulagan case was decision by Supreme Court and Bank. Sagot.
Are you aware of that?
Sorry?
That kind of answer, I don't think so na hindi niya narinig yun.
Are you aware that the 2019 Tulagan case was decided by the Supreme Court en banc?
Well,
You're not aware?
yes.
Just say you're aware. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to inform you,
Aware daw siya.
Panalo, that the 2018 Udang case was decided only by a division, the third division. Now, of course, as a lawyer, you are aware that a decision rendered by a division can be modified or reversed by a decision rendered en banc, correct?
Yes.
Hindi siya sure dun sa pag-yes.
Yes or no only? That's a very categorical question.
He answered
Mas maganda sana kung pakita yung facial reaction.
yes, sir. I heard it.
Okay. Now, do you also agree that the pronouncement in Udang was just taken verbatim from the decision in Malto?
Yes.
And with respect to the new case that
Tagal sumagot.
you brought up, was that decided by a division or decided en banc?
Ito hindi niya alam yung sagot niya.
Why is that material?
Alam mo yung sagot na para makatakas ka dun sa question. Why is that material? Napaka-simple lang naman eh. Dalawa lang ang choice mo dun. Kung maalam ka, decided ba ito by unbank or ng division or third division? Unbank o third division? Yun yung question niya eh.
Let me check.
Do not ask me. I'm asking you.
Kaya nga cross-examination eh. Cross-examination, chance turn ni Piskal kay vlogger na i-cross-examine or tanungin. Tinanong si vlogger, tapos ang sinagot ni vlogger ay tanong din. Galing.
Well, I
Waiting up-
did not actually see if it is decided by a division or en banc.
See? Hindi niya alam. Hindi niya alam kung decided by division or en bank.
Okay. So, you are also aware that
Ang ginagawa ni Piskal, basta once nasagot na niya, proceed sa another question. Kasi it's up to the judges naman na yun. It's up to the judge ang mag-decide niyan. Okay?
even with that new decision, assuming it is decided by a division, you are aware that a decision rendered en banc cannot be modified or reversed by a decision rendered only by a division, correct?
Hindi niya maintindihan.
Can you come again?
Hindi niya maintindihan. Narinig niya yun eh, pero can you come again? Hindi niya maintindihan. He has totally no idea about the question. Promise.
Are you aware that a decision rendered en banc
Kasi alam nyo, kahit ako wala akong idea. Wala akong idea. Pero ako, pag wala akong idea, acceptable. Pero ikaw, abogado ka, you have a stand to fight on. Wala kang idea, unacceptable yun. Yeah? You don't call yourself an attorney kung wala ka talagang idea about this. In fact, dapat prior to this, talagang nag-research ka sana sa mga possibilities na matanong sa'yo.
cannot be modified or reversed by a decision rendered only by a division? You are
Come
not
again.
aware of that,
Come again?
Panero?
Napakamot sa ilong eh. Napakamot sa ilong.
A decision by a division can be modified.
Decision
A decision by a division can be
parang may naalala kung ganyan magsalita. Ulitin nga natin.
a decision by a division can be modified by a decision of the Supreme Court and bank.
There is a decision
what
en
you're
banc.
saying?
Okay, let me repeat. There is a decision en banc. Do you agree that a decision en banc cannot be reversed or modified by a decision rendered only by a division?
Parang sarap eh. Hindi na niya masundan yung hindi na niya masundan kasi ganon-ganon siya pero hindi niya masundan.
Sana all.
Do you
Of
agree
course,
to that
of course.
statement?
Anong of course?
Now, off to another topic. Do you believe, Panero, that before an accused can be convicted of sexual abuse under Section 5B of RA 7610,
Wala siyang idea dyan.
the prosecution must first prove that the child was subjected to the coercion or influence of an adult syndicate or group, correct?
Yes, as an element of the
Oh.
crime.
So if there was no coercion or influence of an adult syndicate or group, there would be no violation, correct?
Yes.
And the
Pag hindi daw pinilit ng isang adult, walang violation. Sagot niya, yes, okay.
consent of the child would be material because since there was no coercion or influence coming from an adult, then she could validly give consent to such sexual act, correct?
Well, I have to disagree with that one.
Bakit?
I
Okay,
cited several cases already.
Okay, let me proceed
I cited several cases.
to my next question. Of course, it is your stand that the age of sexual consent is always 18, correct?
Yes.
In fact, you even said that there is a Supreme Court decision that states that the age of sexual consent
Nag-yes siya doon sa 18 Kasi mamaya i-aano niya yun eh. Di-deny niya eh.
was never 12 and that it was always 18, correct?
Sorry.
Always 18, correct?
Ulitin natin.
And was never 12 and that it was always shown that states that the age of sexual consent was never 12, that there is a Supreme Court
Yes.
In fact, you even said that there is a Supreme Court decision that states that the age of sexual consent was never 12 and that it was always 18, correct?
Sorry. Was that part of my presentation?
Was that part of my ano daw?
You're talking about sexual consent, Panero. This is in
Yes.
relation to your claim that the age of sexual consent is 18. So, this is
Galing
very
sa
material.
kanya yun
Yes.
Ngayon di-deny niya.
Mhm.
Now, what is that SC decision that you claim that
Nako,
the age of
patay.
sexual consent was always 18?
Ano yan? Anong SC decision yan?
Was 18 is the Udang case and the Malto case.
Udang daw, udang. At saka
On-
Malto.
In the 22-minute and 8-second mark of your live stream
Yan, patay
on March
tayo.
7, 2022, you said, and I quote,
Nako.
meron tayong video na ganun eh. Balikan nyo yun. May sinight ako na batas doon na sinabi ng Supreme Court na it was never 12 and it was always 18.
Nako.
Is that referring to the Odang case, Panyero? Or in the
Well,
Supreme Court?
I think that's not part of this debate already because that's my live stream.
Wrong answer. Kasi sabi niya, hindi daw part ng debate yon kasi live stream niya yon. Kaya nga, di ba, in any cases, in every case, meron tayong sinasite as evidence. So, papaano mo sasabihin na hindi yan kasama sa debate? Parang sa case yan, kasama sa case, anything that you can use as an evidence as long as it is admissible. I mean, we're talking about sa case kung admissible yung evidence, pasok mo yan. Kahit ano na ipapasok mo. Tapos sasabihin mo, gusto mong itsapuera yung sinabi mo dun sa live stream mo na yun, dahil hindi part of the debate. Sinabi mo yun eh. Nung time na yun, nung sinabi mo yun, nung particular date and time na sinabi mo yun, maraming naniwala sa'yo. Okay? Continue.
That's not for you to judge, Panyero.
Assess yung patawa-tawa niya ganyan, tawa ng, alam mo yun, nagpapalusot.
Pero I am asking,
Hindi mo magagawa na yan dito sa debate. Kung sa channel mo, nagagawa mo yan, hindi sa debate.
you are under cross. This is actually related to your claim that
Cross-examination to, Mr. Vlogger.
the age of sexual consent is 18.
Yes, it's
Okay.
it's 18. But when it comes to like Supreme Court decisions, saying in verbatim that 12, it was never 12 and it is 18, it's not a direct quote when I said that in the live stream. And I didn't say that here.
Maraming naniwala dun sa live stream mo na yun. Marami kang nauto nung live stream mo na yun.
In fact, what I said here was what they said and not what the Supreme Court said.
Plus you
That's
who
why I
claim-
also showed you. I
Okay.
also showed you clips and search results.
Let me just proceed to my next question,
Okay.
Panyero.
Proceed na siya kasi nanonood ang judges eh. Nanonood yung judge. Bahala na yung judge dyan. Pero kitang-kita naman eh.
Now,
Okay.
The general rule is 18 and the exception is 16. What is your basis for saying that?
I did not say the exception is 16. I did not say the exception is there can be exceptions. Just like what they said in the Tulagan case. I think you must misunderstood what I said. I didn't say 16 is the exception. There can be exceptions. Like what
Ano
they did in the
pinagkaiba?
Tulagan case.
By the way, is it your stand that the legal age of 18 is also the age of sexual consent?
Well, that's what I'm trying to prove here.
Okay.
18 is the age of sexual consent.
Okay. Okay.
Okay?
Let me proceed to my next
Nakakahon
question.
ka dito eh.
In relation to your claim that 18, the legal age is also the age of sexual consent, what is your basis for saying that 18 as the legal age is also the age of sexual consent? Can you cite a particular law that's
Yan, mag-cite ka. Tingnan
That's
natin.
Well, I did not say that the legal age. You are conflating both of them.
You just admitted a while ago. You just admitted a while ago, Panyero.
Oo nga, di ba? Nandun pa yung sa ano niya, sa presentation niya. So ano yun?
You cannot deny that now.
Well, okay, the legal
Saved by the bell.
age
Next.
being the same
Next.
number.
Tama na.
Okay, the cross-examination for the negative is up. So we have to be ready
Next.
for the
ano naman,
opening speech
si
or
Piskal.
rebuttal of the gentleman for the negative.
Okay,
But
let's
before
go.
that, we will give a time.
Alright mga kasama, 52 minutes past the hour of 4. Debate ngayong halik ng DCX TV. Sang alas 4.
That
Forward natin.
May Max Protect
Mahaba-haba.
Formula.
Hong mga hindi magandang comment section. Mga kas-
Let's go.
15
Forward.
minutes. Now.
Okay. Good afternoon again, Ms. Moderator, to our judges, to the
patay
people
tayo
watching,
dyan.
and most especially to Attorney Libayan. Before anything else, I want everyone to listen to what my worthy opponent said in this video.
Nako. March 27. Ganda nito, meron talagang cited na reference itong si Piskal. Hindi mo to madidinay ngayon. Debunk ang
Manila,
labas
President
nito.
Rodrigo Roa Duterte has signed into law a bill raising the age of sexual consent from 12 to 16 when in fact it was never 12. Kabubuhan yung mga tao nagsasabi doon o kaya mga pedophiles ang mga taong nagsasabi doon.
Nako.
Kalokohan yun. Sabi niya,
I'm sorry, but labeling us as pedophiles is an unfair and outrageous statement.
Dapat nga, dyan pa lang disbar eh. Di ba? Parang si Gadon.
Especially coming from a lawyer who has 500,000 subscribers under his spell.
Disbar
I am
na
here
yan
to
pag
tell
ganyan.
everyone, especially to Attorney Libayan, that we are not the pedophiles you unfairly picture us to be. Yes, we believe that 16 is the age of sexual consent, not because we are pedophiles or PDF file protectors, as you sarcastically call us, but because this is what the law and jurisprudence so provide. And contrary to
Yun yung batas.
what you want to impress
Mas magaling ka pa sa batas? Porque kabatas?
upon your audience, hindi po ito usapin tungkol sa pagka-craft ng batas. Debate po ito tungkol sa ano ang nakasad sa batas, 18 ba or 16. At yan po ang dapat nating pag-usapan. So ano ba talaga ang age of sexual consent? It is that age where a minor can rationally decide for himself or herself whether or not to engage in any sexual activity with another person. Unang punto po, when we talk about age of sexual consent, it should always refer to a minor. It does not refer to a person of legal age. There is no question, and it was never an issue, that a person of legal age can validly give consent to a sexual act. And why do I say that the age of sexual consent should always refer to a minor? No less than the Supreme Court in Bangayan versus People, GR number 235610, September 16,
2020 na yan.
declared that the capacity to give sexual consent refers to individuals between 12 and below 18. Kaya mali po ang sinasabing 18 ni Ginoong Libayan. Malinaw pa sa sikat ng araw na ang sexual consent ay tumutukoy lamang sa isang menor de edad. Before it was 12, now it is 16 pursuant to RA 11648. Having established that the term age of sexual consent should refer only to a minor and not to a person of legal age, this leads me to point number 2. And that is, it is erroneous for Attorney Libayan to assert that 18 is the general rule, or he already denied it earlier, that
Deny.
16 is only the exception. 18 po cannot be the general rule because magkaiba ang konsepto ng consent under civil law sa konsepto ng sexual consent under criminal law. Hindi po pwedeng
Hindi na
pagsamahin ang dalawang magkaibang konsepto.
Hindi naiintindihan
Sabi
ni
na dito sa-
ano yan, vlogger.
Bangayan case, these two concepts are distinct from each other and have differing legal implications. It cannot be applied to consent within the context of sexual predation.
Nakita niyo yung ano, yung resources or yung source ni Piskal? Nakita niyo yung difference nung source kaysa doon kay Mr. Blogger? Kay Blogger, gumawa siya ng sarili niyang presentation. Okay? Nakapangalan pa doon, by Attorney Libayan. Dito, merong sinasite na GR something, no? So, ito, hindi niya gawa. So ano ba yung mas credible dito?
Bakit magkaiba? Yung 18 kasi ay tumutukoy lamang sa aspetong civil ng buhay ng tao. Pag 18 ka na, you can now enter into marriage, sign contracts, or buy and sell your own property. Pwede ka nang pumasok sa anumang legal na kontrata. But the act of a minor in giving sexual consent does not pertain to any contract in the context of civil law. It merely involves a minor's rational decision to submit herself or himself to a private sexual act or sexual activity for purposes of sexual pleasure.
In short, ang naiintindihan lang ni Mr. Blogger, yung 18, ang nasa kukote niya na 18 na pinagdidebatehan nila ay sexual consent. Yun lang. Okay? Pero, ang pinag-uusapan is yung 18 and over is hindi na minor. 18 and under, minor pa yon. So, 18 and over has the capacity to think and to decide, okay, paano magbayad ng bills, paano mag-asawa, okay, to move on life without the guidance of parents. Kasi hindi na nga minor di ba? Pwede nang mag-anak yan, pwede nang mag-asawa yan kasi hindi na siya minor. Pero ang naiintindihan ni Mr. Blogger, he is only talking about sexual with consent.
Hindi po pumapasok sa kontrata ang isang menor de edad pag nakikipagtalik siya sa ibang tao. There is no contract that is created when a 16-year-old minor, for example, decides to have sex with another person. Considering that we cannot apply consent as a concept in civil law to criminal cases, it is therefore wrong to say that 18 is the general rule and 16 the exception. Point number 3. Like a damsel in distress.
Okay, so naintindihan na natin yan na i-forward naman natin. Gusto natin makita yung cross-examination naman ni Blogger. Tignan natin. Okay, saan ba yung
16 as can be gleaned from the rulings in Bangayan and
Ay, meron. Ano to?
Despite the clear pronouncements in Bangayan and Tulagan, Attorney Libayan would seek refuge in the phrase, "We take exception" to the sweeping conclusion,
Without
as
valid
if to say
citation,
that
medyo
16 is
alanganin.
only an exception. Wrong again po. With all due respect, this is a lame excuse bordering on absurdity. You know why?
Nako.
The phrase "take exception" is an idiomatic expression lang
Well
po
prepared
that
tong
simply
si
means
Piskal,
to
no?
object to something or to express disagreement with something.
Doon tayo
The
sa
Supreme
ano.
Court
Sige,
therefore
okay yan.
simply
Well prepared
objected
na
to
siya.
the sweeping statement. It in bandwagon. Let me throw the question
Ang
back to you.
dami pala,
Is
oh.
there a law that specifically states that 18 is the age of sexual consent? Is there a Supreme Court decision that states that the age of sexual consent was never 12 and it's still not 16?
Okay.
There is none.
Wala.
Zero po. I only heard that from my compañero who unfortunately does not represent the Supreme Court. What is ironic po is that my opponent who claimed
maraming
in one of his live streams
naniniwala.
that he has never heard of 12 being the age of sexual consent and who still claims to this day that it was never 12 and it's still not 16, debunked himself when in another
Debunk himself. Ganyan naman lagi yan eh. Minsan may vlog siya, tapos the next day kinokontra yung sarili niya.
live stream, he even read the separate concurring opinion of Justice Leonen in the Tulagan case, recognizing and acknowledging that the age of sexual consent is 12, which is now 16 under RA 11648.
Ayan na, ayan na.
Okay.
Okay.
Tama. O, bago tayo pumunta doon. Tama nga pala yung citation ko, no? Yeah, GR number 227363.
Wala.
Ito yun. Hindi ko alam kung bakit hindi ko ma-search kanina. Ang haba kasi nito. The age of sexual consent in the Philippines is 12 years old, period. Diba? According to the United Nations International Children's Emergency
Ayan na. Ayan, may kumontra sa'yo, attorney. Ay, attorney, Mr. Blogger.
Fund, this is one of the lowest globally and lowest in the Asia-Pacific region, the
ano
average
masabi
age
mo
of
dyan?
consent is 16 years old. Diba? The
Ayun,
age
tama.
of majority, however, is 18 years old. Minors or those below 18 have no capacity to enter any contracts or marriage. Yet strictly reading the
Pahiya ka dyan.
of the revised penal code, any minor above 12 years old may validly consent to sexual intercourse and lascivious conduct with
Ano
an
na?
adult.
Ano na? Ano na?
Number 5. The passage of RA 11648 likewise reflects the legislative intent setting 16 as the threshold age for giving sexual consent. No less than Senator Ontiveros, the principal author herself, categorically acknowledges that RA 11648 was passed for the purpose of raising the age of sexual consent from 12 to 16. Tinawag niya pa ngang Age of Sexual Consent Act, ang RA 11648. The passage of the said law is also actually in line with the recommendation of the
Okay,
2016
forward natin. Gusto
UN
ko yun
Committee
sa
on
ano.
the
Tignan natin
Elimination
kung magaling
of
mag-cross-examine.
Discrimination, raised the age of consent in the Philippines.
Ops, balik natin.
The cross-examination?
Yes po, I am ready.
Okay, we will
Let's
give you
see.
8 minutes for a while po.
Okay. My first question is, you read in the Tulagan case that consent can be a defense, right?
Ano na? Nalutang na.
Yes, yes.
That means if you have sex with a minor, you can be sued and use that as a defense, right?
Yes.
My point there is you can still be sued.
Huh?
Correct?
Does it matter? It does not prove your point.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Now, you said that the concepts of the
Ano
consent
na? Ba't ka tumitingin dun sa kaliwa mo? Ano meron? Mag-concentrate ka sa ano mo.
in civil law and the concept of giving
Ha?
sexual consent is different, correct?
Yes.
But the number can be the same, right?
Pardon? Come again?
But the number can be the same.
I am sorry, I do not get your question, Attorney Libayan. Can you repeat the question?
What I mean is the age of sexual consent and the legal age in giving consent in relation to civil obligations can be the same number, meaning 18, correct?
I already pointed out that there is no question and it is not an issue that a person of legal age can validly give consent to a sexual act. That's not the issue.
Please, just answer yes or no if the number can be the same.
Yes, with qualification.
Okay. Also here in
Okay, good.
you said that
Ano na?
Tulagan overturned or abandoned udang, correct?
Yes, precisely.
But you also said and you also read that it only took exception of the sweeping statements, right?
You have different meanings to take. So I don't agree
yes
to
or
your.
no, yes
I
or
don't
no.
agree.
May we ask the gentleman for the
no,
negative to
that's-
answer?
No,
Yeah.
no,
If the question
No.
is answerable by yes
No.
or no, kindly answer yes or no.
no.
Okay. Now, I will read to you the exceptions. One moment.
Hindi siya prepared.
The exceptions are in relation to the sweeping conclusions that a child is presumed by law to be incapable of giving rational consent. Right? And that consent of a child is immaterial in criminal cases, correct?
No, I don't agree.
Those are the only matters
Sure,
that
that's your
were
point of
taken.
view, Attorney Libayan. You cannot force me to admit. That's your point of view.
So the answer is no, Attorney Libayan.
Okay.
Move on.
Okay. Now, you also said that, well, let's go back to the civil definition and the
Ayun na.
sexual consent. Civil consent and sexual consent. In Odang, it was said that, one moment.
Ayun na. Hindi organized.
The harm which results from a child's bad decision in a sexual encounter may be infinitely more damaging to her than a bad business deal. Now, do you agree with me that the Supreme Court in saying this is implying that more protection should be given to a person engaging in sexual intercourse than a person who is engaging in business? Yes or no?
No, I don't agree because
Just answer yes or no. So you don't
No
agree
na nga eh. No
that
na nga.
when the Supreme Court said the
May I be
harm
allowed-
which results
may-
from a
may-
child's
may I be allowed
bad
to explain
decision
my
in a
answer?
sexual
Sir, you can
cannot,
do that
because
maybe
you did not
during...
allow me to explain
Yeah.
also.
I-cut muna yung time. Stop muna. May you can do that, sir, during during the closing speech, Your Honor. Sir.
Okay.
Yun.
Okay.
Kanina nga eh. Di ba? Nakasagot si Mr. Vlogger kanina. Sabi niya, hindi ko yan sinabi sa aking ano. At saka live stream lang naman yun. Oh. Bakit ganun? Si Mr. Vlogger pwedeng nag-defend doon sa ano. Ay, eto gusto yes or no lang talaga. Dapat kanina pa yan, dapat yes or no lang. Ang sagot mo, Mr. Vlogger.
Okay. Now, in De La Cruz versus People of the Philippines, GR number 245516, June 14, 2021. The court said there that the age or the age gap actually is material because if
Ano? Kanina yung pag cross-examine ni Piskal prepared siya doon sa ano doon sa kanyang mga tanong hindi ko alam nangangapa pa.
there is vast difference in age between the victim and the offender is indicative of coercion and intimidation. Do you agree with that?
I agree, but that is not the only factor in determining the validity of the consent of a child.
Okay, just answer yes or no. Okay. My question
With
again to you. For example, there are people in the room ages 12 to 16 and they ask you 16 to 60, 16 to 60, and they ask you what is the youngest age of a person wherein I can have sexual intercourse with. What is your answer? Their age is from
Kala ko ba yes or no yung tanong.
16 to 60, and they ask you what is the minimum age of the person that they can have sex with. What's your answer?
Of course, I will answer the very obvious. 16 years old, because that is the age of sexual
So
consent.
you will answer, okay, just like that. You will answer 16, disregarding the fact that even if there is a vast difference in age between the victim and the offender, it is indicative of coercion and intimidation, like the
I said that's not the
Supreme Court
only
said in the
factor to
De La Cruz
consider.
case.
Hindi siya kasi nag-stop doon sa sagot lang 'di ba? Kasi sa bagay nasa decision pa rin naman ng judge 'yon. Yung judge niya ang magde-decide kung paano mo sinagot yung tanong. Kasi just like a while ago, 'di ba? Mr. Vlogger was given the chance na sabihin na hindi ko naman hindi naman kasama yun kasi live stream ko yun wala naman akong sinabi dito sa debate na to, 'di ba? Tapos itong turn na ni Piskal, hindi pwede, dapat yung yun lang yung sagot mo and then stop na ka doon. 'Di ba? So parang merong difference doon sa the way na pagsagot dito
That's
Yes
not
or
the
no?
only factor. That's not the only factor to consider. No.
Okay.
Anyway,
Now,
nasa judge na yan.
Do you agree that in the Udang case, it said there that the age of sexual consent is 18?
I don't agree. Definitely not.
You do not agree. Okay. Now, in the Udang case, do you agree? The Udang case alone, do you agree that there it said that a minor cannot give sexual consent?
No, because the Odang case has been junked by the Tulagan case already.
No. Well, and in relation to
Na-junk na nga eh. Ano ba ang gusto mong ipilit, Mr. Vlogger?
your questions
Nyari.
about
Ah,
NBank
Ah.
and
so, division.
NBank decisions and division decisions, do you agree with me that the Supreme Court, even if it decided in NBank and in divisions, they still form part of the law of the land?
Yes, but with qualification.
Okay. Now,
Ano na?
Thank you very much
Next.
to the two gentlemen
Tingnan natin.
for
Next.
we will have a break.
Ang ating usapin
Break.
patungkol sa
Sa hanap buhay.
Tingnan natin.
Can sexual
Okay,
The
okay.
age of
Ito
sexual consent.
Nako, dito tayo malalagot.
Kung tayo man po ay papas at yung hindi answerable by yes or no, mag yes or no lang. Ganoon din naman po talaga sa court.
yeah.
And then you will be given time during the closing speech, yung kumbaga i-rebat nyo yung bawat isa.
Okay.
Doon nyo po ma-explain. And you will
Okay.
be given 5 minutes.
Doon natin makikita kung merong retention. Kung gaano kalakas yung retention ng memory.
So doon po sa mga, ito lang yung nakapag-start lang, kaya po tayo pumapasok is para maging smooth yung flow.
Okay, sige.
Pero
sige,
answerable
sige.
by yes or no, especially
Sige, go,
Portion?
go. Forward.
before anything else. Teresita Baldos?
Attorney Claire?
Apo, you do not have any timer for your question, but
okay.
the participant will be given 1 minute to answer your question. And then after your question po, and you have the follow-up question for regarding his answer, you can do so po. Okay po?
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
We will
Okay,
call
thank
on
you.
first gentleman for the affirmative. Alam po, tawagin natin.
yes, Your Honor.
Opo, we will okay po.
Okay. Attorney Libayan, your stand that the age of sexual consent is 18 is based basically on Republic Act 7610, right?
Yes, Your Honor. And some of the
Yes or no?
cases that I have cited.
Okay. Now, in Section 3 of 7610, the term children is defined as 18 years of age, right?
Yung ganun nito nila ba yung sign of tension. O kaya sakitan niya ito.
And that
Di
is
niya alam.
basically
Di niya
where
alam Section 3.
you base your stand.
Minor below 18 years of
18,
age.
it's 18, yes, 18 years of age. Children are considered those below 18 years of age.
Yes.
Okay. Now, can you,
Yes, Your Honor.
okay, in the same definition of terms of 7610, which seeks to protect children against child abuse, there are 6 instances which are enumerated there.
Anim.
Can you tell me under which of these circumstances or instances can sexual
patay.
consent be interpreted to mean?
Nako, patay tayo dyan.
Well, I would like to direct Your Honor
Hindi niya
to
alam.
Section 5 because it says here
Section
child
3 nga
protection
eh.
and other sexual abuse. It used the term children, whether male or female, who for money, profit, or any other consideration or due to the coercion or influence of an adult syndicate or group indulge in sexual intercourse or lascivious conduct are deemed to be children exploited in prostitution
Basa.
and other sexual abuse. In this particular section, Your Honor, it said that a child who is influenced by an adult is deemed as a person who is sexually abused.
But this concerns child. The section that you cited concerns child prostitution, right?
Yes, no,
So
not
that is-
only child prostitution, Your Honor, also sexual abuse.
Because sexual abuse is covered.
Natawa
Yeah,
tuloy yung
child
mga...
prostitution, sexual abuse. So this means that this is for self gratification or for as a means of occupation for earning money, right? And not for not
Nako.
where
Sunog.
consent is vitiated. Am I
Sunog,
correct?
No, Your Honor, because it says there.
We will
and
give Attorney
other
Libayan
sexual
30
abuse.
seconds to answer
So
the question.
it's
30 seconds, Attorney Libayan.
specifically, yes, Your Honor,
Judge yan, kausap mo, Mr. Blogger.
it said child prostitution and other sexual abuse. So it is very broad, Your Honor. So it's not only about prostitution.
Kaya nga may section tayo kasi to be specific eh.
Prostitution.
Diba?
Okay, so my turn is up.
Yes, Justice.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Justice Teresita Baldos.
Ay.
And now, we will be calling
Generalize niya yung prostitution.
Justice Alfredo Ampuan to ask questions to the gentleman for the affirmative.
Okay, ito naman.
Thank you. Am
Yes
I
po.
clear?
Yes po.
Now, I will just ask my question to both the affirmative and the negative. Is
Justice,
allowed?
affirmative muna po. Apa.
Parehas eh. Okay, affirmative. Did you mention any jurisprudence that was promulgated by the Supreme Court in relation to
Jurisprudence.
to sexual intercourse consented by a 16-year-old and below?
I did not, Your
Consented
Honor,
sexual
because
relations over 16 and below. Is there any mention
no,
about it?
Your Honor,
There was no
I
jurisprudence.
did not present any, yes, Your Honor, jurisprudence in relation to that. I presented jurisprudence wherein
Ano?
a person was convicted. Even
Yeah,
if
but we're talking about
the-
consent here, is it not? We're talking about consent
Yes.
here, is it not?
Consent!
And are you aware of the provision of Republic Act 11648?
Hindi siya
Particularly the Section 1?
Nyari.
Yeah?
Nyari. Oh,
That,
research ka. Nagtatype ka agad sa
A
Google. Yan.
16-year-old may
Tatype na
give
siya sa Google.
consent to a sexual intercourse provided
Tatype ka
that
agad sa
the
Google, eh.
partner must not be more than 3 years older than her. And
I'm
the
aware of that.
victim must
I'm
not-
aware of that, Your Honor.
Aware siya kasi nag-search ka agad sa Google eh.
Yes, Your Honor. But
It-
that,
it
like
talks about-
my
it
position,
talks
Your
about-
Honor.
Yeah, it talks about clearly. It talks about consent clearly, is it not?
Yes, Your Honor. But my position, Your Honor, is those are exceptions.
Ha?
Exception.
Yes, Your
But
Honor.
we're talking about a 16-year-old. A 16-year-old. But not under 13.
Yes, Your Honor. But that is an
She can
exception.
give consent. She can give consent provided that the partner must not be 3 years older than her. Is that
Yes,
not
Your Honor. As a
clear?
matter of exception. As a
So it
matter of
talks about
exception, Your Honor.
consent.
Yes, Your Honor. Can I elaborate, Your Honor?
You can. So you would like to
Well,
elaborate the law? You would like to elaborate the law?
No, Your Honor, I would
Yan yung sinasabi ko eh. May batas tayo. Don't try to elaborate or alam mo yung gusto binabago mo eh yung batas eh. According to your own interpretation. Eh may batas na nga tayo eh. Yan tuloy. Kita mo. Halata dito na sinusunog ka na oh. So you can elaborate the law.
would like to give an example, Your Honor, why my position is 18 years old, because it is the general rule, Your Honor. Like, for example, in the application of criminal laws, Your Honor, the general rule
So are you
is
saying that this is a special law? Because you're talking about general
no,
law?
Your Honor, it is an exception, Your Honor.
Alam mo, wala talaga sa totoo lang nakikita ko dito. Kita mo yung si judge, ayan, si nagtatanong. Alam na niya eh, yung sasagot ka pa lang, alam na niya kung saan patungo yung sinasabi mo. Kung alam niya kung alam mo yung sinasabi mo o hindi. Pero syempre, to be fair naman, mamaya tignan din naman natin si Piskal.
Court, my position is the court, Your Honor, can make
So
exceptions
if it is an exception, it will prevail. If it,
Sabi niya, gusto niya elaborate. Okay, you can elaborate. So are you suggesting na you elaborate the law? Sabi niya. Tapos hindi, may exception kasi. Sabi. So yung exception mo, ang tanggap, ang accepted. Tingnan mo si...
it is an
Sorry, Your
exception,
Honor.
as you said, it will prevail. Correct?
Your Honor, if it is present in the particular case,
tumatawa
then
si
it will prevail.
Justice.
But it
Yeah,
is not the general rule, Your Honor.
It's very clear. It's very clear that 16-year-old and below can give consent. Provided he
Yes,
must not be under
as a matter of
13 years old.
exception, yes, Your
We
Honor.
will give Attorney Libayan 30
As a
minutes,
matter of
30 seconds to wrap up.
Okay?
You want to elaborate the law?
Proceed.
Attorney Libayan, 30 seconds.
So just like what I said, Your Honor, if we compare it to the prospectivity of the application of criminal laws, the general rule is criminal laws are only applicable prospectively. The exception is if it is beneficial to the accused. So 18, Your Honor, is the general rule, and there are other exceptions.
Okay. Okay na yun.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Checkmate.
Justice Ampuan. Thank you for that.
Next.
Just
Let me first congratulate Attorney Randy Libayan for boldly taking the affirmative stand, no, and
Okay.
expounding on his
Ito
argument.
naman, kampi.
Attorney Libayan, the
Kampi ba? I
claim
don't know.
that the age of consent is now 16 is because of the passage of Republic Act 116481. Is that correct? And
Yes, Your Honor.
according to you, it is because of those giving opinions, no, that this law resulted in the increase of the age of consent from 12 to 16, no?
Yes, Your Honor.
No? And that according to you, these people are poisoning the well.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, this law was signed by the President on March 4, 2002. No? I think
Yes, sir.
one of the sponsors is the Senate President himself, no? Senator Miguel Subiri. No? Okay. After the signing by the President on March 4,
2020.
2022, the Senate issued an official press release. An official press release stating that Republic Act 116481 raises the age of consent from 12 to 16. No? And it even quoted
Yes, I saw that, Your Honor.
Senate President that from now on, nobody can claim that having sex with a kid, the word used is kid, below 16, gave consent. No? my question is, what is your take on that official press release of the Philippine Senate which passed the law?
My take on that, Your Honor, is it's inaccurate. Because first and foremost, when they said that they raised the age of sexual consent from 12 to 18, it does not follow already, Your Honor. Because as enshrined in the Odang case and the early case of Malto, it said a child cannot give sexual consent unequivocally. So it means, Your Honor, that there is no rising of the age of consent. It was actually reduced from 18 to 16 because of the existence of the Odang and the Malto case, Your Honor. So it is already inaccurate and wrong to say that it was raised from 12 to 16. And Your Honor,
So, parang mas magaling pa pala si Mr. Vlogger sa batas, ano? Wala daw talagang from 12 to 18. 18 to 16 daw.
the that Republic Act 11648, Your Honor, if we can see in the title, it is affording greater protection. If I may, Your Honor,
You have 30 seconds, Attorney Libayan, to wrap up.
The title, an act promoting for stronger protection against rape and sexual exploitation and abuse, increasing the age of determining the commission of statutory rape, amending for the purpose of this act, blah, 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 Your Honor. So if it is promoting for stronger protection, it should have been, it's not, it is impossible, Your Honor, that protection or stronger protection was given if the age of sexual consent was reduced from 18 to 16.
Okay, so that,
Even
that
if,
was
for
the
example,
official, that
we
was the
will-
official statement of the Philippine Senate following the
Yes, Your Honor.
signing into law of Republic Act 116481. You are saying now that there is something wrong with that official statement.
Oh, kasi mas magaling siya sa Senate eh.
Based on the jurisprudence, Your Honor, based on case law, I think that statement
Ito na yung sinasabi, ikaw na mag-senador.
is inaccurate, Your Honor.
30 seconds to wrap up, Attorney Libayan.
Tapos na.
Well, like I said, Your Honor, Malto versus People of the Philippines was promulgated September 21, 2007. And it says there, consent of the child is immaterial in criminal cases involving violation of Section 5, Article 3 of Republic Act 7610. And it was again reiterated in the Udang case, January 10, 2018. And Your Honor, the Tulagan case that my opponent is saying, Your Honor, did not actually overturn this, but only took exceptions of the sweeping conclusion.
Thank you very much, Attorney Libayan.
Thank you, Attorney Libayan. I said that's a boldly taking the affirmative stance. No? Okay.
Very bold.
Thank you very much, Justice Oscar Herrera Jr. Thank you po.
Matawa na lang yung mga justices.
And now we
Matawa
would
na.
like to call back Justice Teresita Diaz
Laughing stock.
Baldos to ask question.
Okay. Next,
Okay.
next.
Okay.
Ito naman, okay. Ikaw naman.
Under Republic Act 11648, there is a 3-year gap, 3-year age difference wherein criminal liability does not attach to the offender. In your opinion, does that age gap apply to one who is below 16 and the other one is below 13, or one which is below 16 or below 19, or both?
I think you are referring po to the close-in age gap rule or the Romeo and Juliet rule.
They know. Dalawa sila, alam nila yung pinag-uusapan nila.
Yes,
Under that
Romeo and
rule po,
Juliet.
under that rule po, a person below 16, the partner of that person below 16 will not be liable for the crime of rape if the age difference between the two does not exceed 3 years.
Yes.
Provided that the sex is consensual, non-exploitative, and non-abusive. But that exemption will not apply, Madam Justice, if the victim is under 13 years of age po.
Yeah, so you mean there is no criminal liability if if the victim is below 13.
No po. If the victim is below 16 and his or her sexual partner, their age difference does not exceed 3 years, and the sex is consensual, non-abusive, and non-exploitative, there will be no criminal liability. But when the offended party is below 13 years of age, even if the sex is consensual, non-abusive, and non-exploitative, there will still be criminal liability po.
Okay. So, what do you think is the rationale or the wisdom behind creating this Romeo and Juliet principle?
I think po this recognizes the fact that there's what we call in this day and age this teenage predisposition that they can validly give consent to a sexual act. Because if we suffocate the law by penalizing couples whose age gaps are not that much different, then we might be creating more trouble than a solution, Your Honor.
Yes, but okay, can I just add one more question?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
You're allowed
yes.
po,
That it
Justice.
will be creating more. But nowadays, would you agree that minors or even those teenagers below 16 are more sexually
Active.
exposed to sexual education or to sexual environment than the minors of years ago when they were supposed to be innocent, right? So, meaning innocent by way of opening their minds or their introduction to sex has been early. It's been early enough. So, but sex between a person who is below 16 and below 19, because that is that is observing the 3-year gap
Yes.
also.
Yes.
Okay, can also be. Wouldn't that be abusive, or because the offender would be a little already has reached the age of consent or the age of reason? Wouldn't that
the
be
reason-
exploitative
okay.
also?
That's the reason, Madam Justice, why there is this element that even if the sex is consensual, it should not be abusive and exploitative. So those three elements must exist before we can say that the sexual partner of the person below 16 will not be criminally liable for statutory rape.
Okay. Sige, thank you.
Thank you very much, Justice
Thank you.
Teresita Baldos.
Thank you, ma'am.
May difference talaga eh. Pag maalam yung sumasagot, pag maalam yung may alam sa batas, may difference. The way paano sumagot. I mean, makita nyo naman yung kanina, yung kay Mr. Vlogger at saka yung mga justices, tinatawan-tawanan lang siya eh. Pero dito, kita mo, parang nag-agree. Parang alam nila ng bawat isa sa kanila yung sinasabi ng bawat isa sa kanila. 'Di ba? Nag-mention pa lang si Justice ng kanyang premise. Sinabi kaagad ni Piskal, you are saying about this. Tapos sabi ni Justice, yes, okay. Doon pa lang makikita mo maalam.
And now we would like to call Justice Alfredo.
Next.
Thank you very much,
Yes po.
Madam Moderator.
Apo. You can start now po.
Good afternoon, Prosecutor AJ.
Good afternoon, Justice. Mayong
Good
hapon po.
Mayong hapon. Maupay nga hapon.
Maupay nga hapon, sir.
Okay, our topic for today is very specific and very simple. It's just about giving consent to a sexual act, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is it 18 or 16, right? Is it not
Yes,
the
Your Honor.
question? This is the
Yes,
only
Your
thing
Honor.
that we must resolve, right? So the jurisprudence that were mentioned a while ago by the affirmative and the negative, did it relate to consent, to sexual act?
Related po, especially the
Is
cases
there
I
any
cited, the Tulagan.
what jurisprudence was that relates to a sexual act, to a consent to a
The,
sexual act?
the Tulagan case po, as well as the Bangayan case po.
Tulagan and
Okay.
Bangayan.
So,
Yes
but
po.
that was promulgated when?
The Tulagan case po, which is an en banc decision, was promulgated sometime in 2019 prior to the enactment of RA 11648. And at that time,
Galing. Alam niya yung sinasabi niya.
Your Honor,
Very specific.
the age of sexual consent was still 12 years of age.
So, what will prevail now? Those jurisprudence or Republic Act 1168?
Oy, Justice, parang halatado ah. Parang dinidirect mo na yung answer. Pero syempre, kahit na hindi niya idirect, halata na alam ni Piskal yung kanyang sagot eh. Pumasok kagad sa kanyang isip yung citation eh. Tulagan and Bangayan, 2019. Okay, this is after the incident, parang ganun.
11648.
They complement each other, Justice, because the amendment in RA 11648 is a mere mathematical increase of the age of sexual consent from 12 to 16. But it did not modify or change the principles laid down by the Supreme Court in the Tulagan and the Bangayan cases. That's my opinion po.
Why up to 16 when the law very clearly provides that if there will be a sexual intercourse between a 16-year-old and below, but not under 13, the person cannot be held criminally liable. So, is it not only up to 13? 12 to 13?
Based on the amendment made by RA 11648 po, the rule is that a minor below 16 can validly give consent to a sexual act provided his or her sexual partner, their age gap does not exceed 3 years. Yes.
Must not be 3-year-old. But
Yes, Your Honor.
must not be under 13 years old.
Yes, Your Honor. Because even if there was consent, even if it was non-exploitative and
30
non-abusive,
seconds to wrap
if
up.
the victim,
So it must be 13 now.
I
The
believe po
statutory rape is 13 and below.
I believe po 16 is still the threshold age, 13 is only the exception to the exception, because it would appear, Your Honor, that 16 being the threshold age, there is an exception, this so-called Romeo and age rule, and then there is a further exception, this under 13 years of age.
Because under our revised penal code, 12 years old is statutory rape. Consent
Under
is
12, under 12, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
Under 12.
Yes, Your
So
Honor.
consent is beside the point. Now it's under 13,
Yes, Your Honor.
right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Justice Alfred Ampuan. And now we would like to call on Justice Oscar Herrera Jr.
Oh, statutory under 13.
Next.
Justice, nakamute po.
Oh, thank you, Attorney Claire. No? Congratulations, Prosecutor Fabrega, for your presentation. No? Taking the
Thank you, sir.
negative side. No? Now, there is no law enacted by the legislature, no? Which categorically or expressly states that the age of consent is 16 or 18. Are we agreed on that? No law.
There is no law. There is no law at
Okay. Yes, no
Yes, Your
law.
Honor.
Okay. Now, you cited cases, both of you, no? The cases of Pudang, Tulagan, De La Cruz, and Bangayan. And Piskal Pabriga, your conclusion, based on your opinion drawn from these decisions, that the age of sexual consent is 16, no?
Yes, Your Honor.
Advice from the point of view of Attorney Libayan, no? And according to him, it does not matter if one decision is en banc and the other is by division, no? These are all decisions of the Supreme Court that form part of our legal system, no? My question is, do you think there is still need for the Supreme Court, no, to clarify in a decision, maybe
Ako, yes.
with respect to
Kailangan.
sexual consent, to clarify what is really the age of sexual. Do you
Dapat
think
din may
there is still a need?
clarification eh. Kasi,
I don't think there is still a need, Your Honor, because there is a decision that states that the intent of the legislature is not at all times accurately reflected in the manner in which the resulting law is couched. But I believe, Your Honor, that upon a reading of the whole statute of RA 11648, it clearly set a threshold age of 16. And no less than, Your Honor, the Congress, in their press release, categorically stated
30
that
seconds
it
to wrap
raises
up,
the age
Piskal.
of sexual consent from 12 to 16, Your Honor. And I also believe, Your Honor, that while it is true that the Supreme Court, only the Supreme Court can determine the intent of Congress, it is also true that when the law is clear, there is no longer need for any interpretation. There is only room for application. And it is only when the law is ambiguous can the court construe its intent. And in the case of RA 11648, there is no more
Time.
need for interpretation, Your Honor. It's very clear that 16 is being...
time. Na-mute. Okay, next.
Justice Oscar Blisan for his closing speech for 5 minutes.
Okay.
Attorney Libayan.
Tayo muna natin yung timer. Okay.
For a while po. We will,
Ito po at
for a while po. Okay na? 5
Ito nga
minutes.
po at nasaksihan natin yung debate. The debate is whether or not 18 or
Relax.
16 is the age of giving sexual consent.
Relax.
Ngayon, as a lawyer, ladies and gentlemen, it is my duty to protect everyone from criminal prosecution. As you can see here, if you have sexual intercourse with a minor, you have to belong to the exceptions. Kailangan mo pang i-compute yung 3, kailangan mo pang tignan kung kung ano siya, kung hindi siya exploitative, kailangan mong tignan kung gaano kahaba yung edad kasi nga kung mas mahaba yung edad katulad ng sinabi doon sa De La Cruz case, it is already exploitative. So now, what can you generate from that? Even lawyers are arguing. Ano ba talaga? 16 or 18? So, ang gagawin mo if you commit sexual intercourse with a minor, then you have to qualify yourself. So if there is a need to qualify yourself or for you to belong any of the exceptions that my opponent discussed, then do you think it is worthy na maniwala ka na ang age of consent ay 16? Do you think it is sulit, no? Do you think sulit 'yon na nasa 16 ka pero kinakabahan ka naman baka hindi ka pasok sa exceptions? That's the problem there. That's why I want to emphasize that the age of sexual consent is 18. Kasi doon, kampante ka.
Ikaw na yung mag-elaborate sa batas.
Wala kang iisipin, makakatulog ka ng mahimbing, hindi ka magbabasa ng libro, sandali, maghahanap ako ng defense ko. Kasi nga, ladies and gentlemen, ang inabaan doon sa Udang case are merely the sweeping statements that consent is immaterial. Ang sinabi sa Tulagan case It is material because it can be even used as a defense. So in other words, makakasuhan ka pa rin, tapos dedepensa ka. Now, if you want to believe that age of sexual consent is 16, delikado. Delikado. Because the Child Abuse Law or Republic Act 7610, it affords protection laban sa mga nag-aabuso ng mga bata. Ngayon, ganito po yan. Kapag hindi nagreklamo yung bata kasi nagbigay ng consent, kahit nga yung magulang, di ba, nagbigay din ng consent, sinabi dito na yung state bilang parents patriae o magulang ng mga bata, sila ang pwedeng magkaso doon sa tao. Take note, nagbigay na ng consent yung bata. Nagbigay din ng consent yung mga magulang. Why can they still be prosecuted? Now, if you want to spend your time, your money, if you want to exert effort in defending your case, kapag kunwari may nagkaso sa iyo because you had sexual relationship with a minor and you will prove that you belong to the exception, then go ahead. Think of it as 16 as the age of sexual consent. And this regard, lahat po nung mga kaso na pinakita ko sa inyo kung saan sinabi ng paulit-ulit ng Supreme Court na kailangan protektahan natin yung mga bata. That's all for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, gentleman, for the affirmative. And now we would like to call the gentleman for the negative. Fiscal EJ, are you ready?
As I have emphasized po in my opening speech, this exercise is merely to identify what is the age of sexual consent under current law. This is not a debate to forward a policy and change the age of consent from 16 to 18 or from
Exactly.
18 to 16. Hindi ito policy debate gaya ng debate po tungkol sa dapat bang
Senate
ibalik ang
hearing.
death penalty. Debate po ito tungkol sa ano ba talaga ang nakalagay sa batas, 16 ba or 18. Now, apparently, in my opponent, in his closing speech, in his desire to capture public sympathy, would like to make it appear as a policy debate. This is no longer a policy debate. As I said, what we are only here to identify what is the age of sexual consent under current law. Now, going to his legal basis, which is the Odang case primarily, I have already pointed out that the Odang case has been declared no less than by the en banc case of Tulagan as a sweeping and confusing pronouncement regarding the capacity of a child under 18 to give sexual consent. Now, what is the significance of an en banc decision? An en banc decision po is a decision that cannot be reversed by a ruling of a division of the Supreme Court.
Yun, tama.
In the case, this is precisely the pronouncement of, in the case of Teves versus Larlar, September 8, 2020, which is also an en banc decision. Now, an en banc decision is one that
Irreversible.
comes from the entire members of the Supreme Court, unlike a decision rendered by a division that comes only from 5 justices. Now, ano ba ang ibig sabihin nito? Under Article 8, Section 4 of the 1987 Constitution, it states, and I quote, "No doctrine or principle..."
Ito cited with law, batas. Makita yung difference doon kay Mr. Blogger. Ang citation niya, opinion niya. So parang ginawa niyang policy debate. Yung parang mag-hearing ka sa Senado in aid of legislation. Hindi naman ganun Ang debate ngayon is ano ba ang nakalagay na legal age, 18 ba o 16 according to the law. Hindi according doon sa ano yung mga policy na pwede nating ipasa. Pagdebatehan, ano mas maganda depending on opinion, 18 ba o 16. Tuloy
of
natin.
law laid down by the Supreme Court in a decision rendered en banc or in division can be modified or reversed except by the court sitting en banc. Una, a decision rendered by a division can be modified or reversed by a decision rendered en banc. Ito po ang nangyari sa Udang, na isang division lamang ng Supreme Court ang naghusga. Ito ay pinawalang bisa na ng tulagan case na isang en banc decision. Pangalawa, a decision rendered en banc cannot be modified or reversed by a decision rendered only by a division. So kahit pa ano ang sinabi dyan o sinasabi ng People versus De La Cruz, since the Tulagan case, since it was only decided by a division and not en banc, it did not overturn the en banc decision in Tulagan. The criterion of the truth is evidence. Now, let us examine what did Attorney Libayan present to prove that the age of sexual consent is 18. The only proof he presented, Your Honor, was the Udang case.
Udang.
And I said, instead of propagating what I believe, honestly, is misleading information in social media that 18 is the age of sexual consent, my opponent should instead go to Congress and lobby for the passage of a law raising the age of sexual consent from 16 to 18.
Oh, maglabi ka dun. Ganun na lang gawin mo kasi magaling kang vlogger, kang kupal ka.
While it is true, Your Honors, that it is only the Supreme Court that can determine the legislative intent, it is also true that when the law is clear, there is no longer any need for interpretation. It is only when the law is ambiguous may the court interpret its true intent. Unfortunately, the ambiguity, Your Honor, exists only in the fertile imagination of my worthy opponent because the very authors of the law itself, as I have
Imahinasyon mo
already
lamang
pointed
yun.
out, have clearly and unmistakably declared that RA 11648 is a law that raises the age of sexual consent from 12 to 16. And on my part, I have presented more than enough evidence to prove to you that under current law, RA 11648 and jurisprudence, bangayan ang tulagan, coupled with the clear standard of the international community that 16 is the appropriate age of sexual consent, again, I have no doubt in my mind that truth is on my side. Had this been a debate to forward a policy to change the age of consent from 16 to 18, maybe, just maybe, I would have been on Attorney Libayan's side. I have a 17-year-old daughter sitting beside me now, listening and understanding as her father vigorously argues his case as to why 16 is the age of sexual consent. I am arguing not because I am encouraging my daughter to have sex at such a young age. No. No father in his right mind would do
Thank
that.
you very much,
Besides-
Piskal EJ. Thank you very much. And now, we would like to call back our judges
Okay, let's see.
and her.
Thank you very much, Attorney Claire. First of all, may I congratulate our two opponents this afternoon. Both of them were vigorous and valiant in expounding their respective positions. Talaga naman. But the issue here, whether 16 or 18, is the age of sexual consent. For me, is based on the premise that having sex with a minor is mali, is a crime, or talaga it's against our moral principles. Sa tingin ko, pareho naman sila nag-cite ng jurisprudence, ano? But, of course, each to suit his favor or his position.
Tama naman.
I am not here to say whether the Supreme Court reversed itself or not. But, as I said, the primordial fulcrum here is whether 16 or 18 would guarantee that sex with a minor at whatever age, whether 16 or 18, is wrong or or should be penalized. Para sa akin, from my mind and to my persuasion, I am inclined to sustain. That it is the age of 16 that is the age of sexual consent, and therefore I give it to the
Patay.
negative side, mainly because Republic
Patay.
Act 11648 is more in point, and it's directly related to what we are saying, that sex with a minor is an offense. Republic
1-0.
Act 7610, while it takes into account the welfare of a minor, encompasses or includes several other acts such as prostitution, trafficking, which, though punishable, do not really relate or not to the exclusive domain of a minor. I mean, a child over 16 and until 18 may still be victimized, but I would say that they are more for gain and not as a victim of sexual activity or sexual experience. So even as I
Nako.
congratulate both debaters, I would have to give it
1-0.
to the negative side. Thank
Okay.
you.
1-0.
Thank you very much, Justice
Next.
Baldos. And now we would
Next.
like to call back Justice Alfredo Ampuan.
Iyak na yan. Iiyak na yan.
Start my video. Okay na?
Go.
Yes, thank you po.
Ito parang
Alright,
halatang halata eh.
Congratulations to Attorney Libayan and Piskal AJ. Actually,
Ano?
sex is not that bad at all, but provided
Legal age.
if it happens, psychological maturity must be considered. So it's not a matter of age. Because actually, my mother is only 14 years older than me. So she got married when she was 13. But as I said, sex must be blessed, no? It must not be done out of curiosity, and it must not be done to oppress, or it must be, di ba? Blessed, as I said. So psychological maturity is more important to me than age. If you are matured enough and engaged in sexual activity, then there's no problem about it. Because by being matured, you already know the consequences of doing such a thing. Now, the provision of 11648 is very clear, no? That if the partner is not more than 3 years old than the 16-year-old and below, and below means 13 years above or not 13 years under, can give consent, provided that the age of the partner must not be more than 3 years than her age.
Ay, 2-0
Diba,
na
is
to.
that not the clear
2-0.
provision of the law itself? And so with that, I
2-0.
same with Justice Baldos, I vote for in favor of the negative. No? Because it is very
Wala na.
clearly provided
Talo na.
under such a law
2-0.
that
Talo
a
na eh.
16-year-old
Kailangan
can
pa
give
bang
already
gawin nating
consent
3-0?
in sexual activity, provided that the partner must not be 3 years older than she is. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Justice Alfredo Ampuan. And of course, the Chief Adjudicator, Justice Oscar Serrera Jr.
Next.
There, no? And I've already congratulated the two gentlemen. No? It was a very enlightening debate. I learned a lot from the positions taken
talaga?
by both sides, no, and I want to thank you
Natuto
both
ka
for
ba
that,
kay
no.
Mr. Vlogger?
The only question now is what is the age of sexual consent, no? And if presented to me as a judge, I'll have to resolve, no, what is the age of sexual consent, no?
Okay.
We have to go to the law, no? And the law
3-0 na
that
to.
we have been arguing about is Republic Act 1164881, no? Although it is not expressly and categorically stated there that the age of sexual consent is 16, no, the official statement of the Senate will bind me as a judge, no, there being no other sources to draw an answer from, no, that the age of consent is really 16, no. Okay, we cannot do away with that official statement of the institution that crafted and passed the law, no, that the age of consent is 16. So I would go to support the negative side. I must state
3-0.
though that there are valid concerns, no, valid points and concerns raised by Attorney Libayan in expounding that it should be 18, because that indeed would afford more protection to minors if it will be 18, no. So that is still worthy of consideration, no. And I go with the suggestion of the debater who expounded on the negative side that we should go to Congress and possibly ask Congress to study whether to increase further, no, the age of consent to 18. And that is because of the valid concerns, no, issues raised by Attorney Libayan. Okay, thank you. And congratulations again for
Okay.
the two debaters.
Thank you. We here from the RM and DZXL 558 would like to for giving us their magigiting na abogado para mapalawak pa ang
Okay. Comment. Maka-comment muna tayo saglit ha. Okay. Ako personally, hindi naman ako abogado. But, of course, bilang viewer, bilang observer, meron din naman tayong sariling posisyon or pananaw. Ito kasi ay debate ng magkabilang koponan, the negative and the affirmative. So, ako personally, kaya nga sabi ko kanina, kailangan nating klaruhin. 'Di ba kanina? Iba yung sagot ni Piskal doon sa sabi ko na yes, kailangan klaruhin. Bakit? Ang debate kasi ngayon, nitong dalawa na ito, it's not about the policy. Okay? It's not about the policy, but pinagdidebatehan kung ano ba ang age of sexual consent. Which is, ang pagbabasehan natin dito, kung ano ang nasasaad sa batas. Unang punto muna natin to kung ano yung ang nasasaad sa batas. And it was cited by Piskal, and even the judges, tatlong judges, they have cited particular Republic Act, okay, that states that under that batas, we can therefore say na it is 16, 'di ba? So nag-agree yung mga judges dito kay Piskal. Okay? Under sa batas. But tama din yung sinabi nung last judge na sabi niya, merong punto si Mr. Vlogger na acceptable. Ako personally, okay? Personally, I would accept that point by Mr. Vlogger. Bakit? When we are talking about sa intention na gusto mo pang protektahan ang mga kabataan, thus adding more age to that sexual consent, I can agree to that. Okay? Mas gusto ko 18. Okay? Dapat 18 para maprotektahan pa yung 17 years old to 18 years old. Hindi lang until 16. Di ba? So, I can agree to that policy kung yan man ay dadalhin ni Mr. Vlogger sa Senado para magkaroon tayo ng bagong batas na magiging 18. Pero kasi kaya natin, ito kasi is debate na merong mananalo sa huli. Anong pinagdidebatehan nila? Yung age of legal sexual consent. And of course, pagbabasehan natin dito yung batas. Kaya nanalo si Piskal kasi bumase siya and it was cited by him those particular case like Tulawi case, and Bangayan case, di ba? Pinagbasihan niya yun and also from the Republic Act which is 16. Ang pinagbasihan nitong si Mr. Vlogger ay sarili niyang disposition, opinion, which is, di ba, pinresent niya through yung Microsoft presentation niya. Di ba? But, hindi siya cited by legal law. Okay? Law na naipasa batas. Ngayon, kung gusto niyang maging 18, pwede niyang ipanukala, dalhin niya sa Senado o sa Congress para i-push through natin. I-push through natin na dapat maging 18. Ako naman ay mag-agree ako doon sa 18 na yun. Okay? Pero, uulitin ko, ang debate na ito ay basis natin doon sa batas. Pangalawang punto. Pangalawang punto. Kung baliktad ang position ng dalawa, halimbawa si Mr. Vlogger ay negative at si Piskal ay positive. 'Di ba? Si Mr. Vlogger gusto niya sa kanya is i-defend niya yung 16, si Piskal i-defend niya yung 18. Baliktarin natin yung sitwasyon. Okay? Doon pa rin ako sa 18. Okay? Kahit na hindi batas. What I'm trying to say is, halimbawa, maganda yung panukala na itaas natin to 18. So, regardless kung 18 man o 16, kung 18 ang nasa batas, tiyak mananalo si Mr. Vlogger. Nagigets yung point? Kung 18 yung nasa batas, mananalo si Mr. Vlogger. Pero 16 yung nasa batas, kaya nanalo si Piskal kasi yun nga yung pinagbabasehan natin ay batas. Alright? Binaliktad natin ang sitwasyon. Okay? At si Mr. Vlogger, i-defend niya yung 16. Si Piskal, i-defend niya yung 18. Binaliktad natin. Yung 16 yung nasa batas, di ba? Si Mr. Vlogger, i-defend niya yung 16. Si Piskal, i-defend niya yung 18. Depende pa rin yan. Okay? Depende pa rin yan sa pangalawang aspeto natin. Depende pa rin yan kung papaano i-present ni Mr. Vlogger yung 16 at paano i-present ni Piskal yung 18. Okay? Ano yung point ko? Kahit na tama si Mr. Vlogger sa 16 kasi yun yung nasa batas, pero the way he present himself, nakita natin kung paano niya i-present, paano siya mag-cross-examine, paano siya sumagot doon sa cross-examination sa kanya, paano siya magbasa, paano niya i-organize yung thoughts niya. So kahit na tama yung 16 na i-defend niya, tiyak para sa akin, matatalo pa rin siya kasi hindi niya kayang i-cite yung dapat niyang i-cite. Nakukuha niyo yung point? Ang ibig kong sabihin, kung dalawa na lang ang natitirang abogado sa mundo, at silang dalawa ang pagpipilian ko, wala na akong choice kundi dalawa na lang sila. Pipiliin ko si Piskal. Kasi, halimbawa, abogado ko siya, as my lawyer, nakita ko siya kung paano siya trumabaho. 'Di ba? With all those very organized, yung thoughts. Okay, pares naman sila nagbabasa 'di ba? Pero kung paano sumagot, very calm, with assertion, with conviction, yung pagsagot. Halimbawa, syempre pag nasa korte ka at abogado kita, gusto ko magaling kang sumagot, 'di ba? Hindi ka kabado, hindi ka uutal-utal, kumbaga talagang confident ka doon sa sinasabi mo. Kasi magkakaroon din ako ng confidence na kaya mo akong i-defend. Kaya mong ipanalo yung kaso natin. So that is the point. That is the another point dito. Na nakita natin ngayon kung bakit pala itong si Mr. Vlogger ay nag-concentrate na lang sa pagbablog dahil wala talaga pala siyang future pagdating sa korte, pagdating sa labanan, or pagdating sa pagdepensa sa client sa korte. Kaya nga kung makikita natin, lahat ng kasong hinawakan niya, kung lahat, I think mga isa or dalawa lang kaso ang kanyang nahawakan, wala naman kasi siyang maipakita. Pagkahaba-haba yung kanyang credentials na sinubmit dito sa debating ito, pero wala man tayo nakita, no? Kaya pala, pagka haba-haba ng credentials, wala man tayo nakita na ipanalo niyang kaso, no? And nakalagay pa dun sa kanyang credentials na pro bono siya. Yung bang nakakatawa na pro bono na nga, wala pang client. So, well, maswerte siya dahil naging successful siya sa pagbablogger, okay? Nung una, wala talaga yan eh. Yung una, yung talagang kanyang content, purely law about sa batas. Baga, nagbibigay ng kaalaman about sa batas. Until pinalitan niya yung estilo niya, okay, tinira yung mga sikat hanggang sa napansin siya. So, doon na lang siya naging successful. But when it comes to batas, hindi niya pwedeng dalhin yung attorney sa kanyang pangalan kasi most of the times, mini-mislead niya yung kanyang mga viewers. Nakita mo naman, di ba? Sinight pa ni Piskal yung isang live stream, yung mga particular live stream niya na isang evidence, pero ngayon, dinideny na niya or gusto niyang sabihin na sinabi ko lang naman yun, parang ganun. Pero hindi yun kasama sa debate. Pero nung time na yun, maraming naniwala sa kanya. So, medyo delikado siya na dalhin yung batas sa kanyang content kasi marami siyang mga mauuto or marami siyang mapapaniwala doon sa batas na kanyang sinasabi. Kaya nga sinabi nung isang judge dito sabi niya, yes, you can elaborate. If you want to elaborate the law, okay, kumbaga parang gusto mong ibahin yung batas, go ahead. Sarili mong batas yan Sarili mong interpretation that is according to your defense. That's it. 'Di ba? Pero syempre yung mga viewers niya naniniwala, which is very dangerous. So, tama, nakita natin from the start pa lang, from his opening statement to answering the cross-examination to him giving the cross-examination, makikita mo na hindi organized yung kanyang thoughts, okay? Most of the times tingin ng tingin, kaliwat kanan, hindi mo alam kung ano, parang easily distracted siya. So kung dito sa harap ng camera, gaganon-ganon siya, how much more na nasa korte ka mismo, physically present lahat, okay? From the accused, the defendant, kaya makita mo, andyan yung judge, andyan yung mga tao. Kung sa camera pa lang ay nervyoso ka na, how much more pag nandun ka na mismo sa korte. So this is this is it's an eye opener sa atin. It's we have come to a realization na talagang hindi kaya talaga nitong Mr. Vlogger na ito na sumabak sa korte. Yun lang.